I don't believe
So you think they're defining some new...
Yeah, potentially. Potentially.
Socialism could have been another...
Potentially. Because,
so the Arab Spring may very well evolve some new idea of...
May.
And
but
what will prevent it from doing that, in your judgment?
The combination of, I think, instead of fully supporting it, all the compromising stance of the West, for example, it's clear in Egypt that now, I'm not saying it has to happen, but the most probable outcome, and I pray that it will not happen, is, as friends from Egypt are telling me, an obscene pact between Muslim Brotherhood and the army, a kind of obscene exchange where Muslim Brotherhood gets ideological hegemony. In exchange, the army keeps its corrupted privileges and so on, gets the power. Yeah, because remember something, the army is still 100% the old Mubarak army.
Indeed.
Yeah, so...
the people who were in control of the army were put there by Mubarak.
Yeah, totally. So, you see, here we have an example of how a space...
But they did not come to his aid at the crucial moment. They did not come to save him at the crucial moment.
Because they made probably a correct judgment that this would require then to...
Or as they say, they knew which way the wind was blowing.
Yeah. Too much of their pressure. What I'm afraid is that, again, the West will again do it wrong. And for me, for example, how can you... You know, Arabs are quite right of being sensitive to this. How can you preach democracy to Arabs and fully stand behind Saudi Arabia? I mean, I'm sorry to tell you.
There's a contradiction there.
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, but when we speak about personal freedoms, the role of women, sexual freedoms, Iran is a paradise compared with Saudi Arabia. And do you remember in Bahrain, there was a genuine revolt.
Yes.
It was crashed down high. Saudi Arabia intervened there. I don't remember any...
Well, you know what the administration, the Obama administration would say, and others would say, you know, the European administration would say, you have to judge these on a country-by-country basis.
Yeah, but this is just a nice way, masked as wisdom, to say ruthless opportunism and so on. And it's so typical how the West intervened.
But you can't find one, you know, it does not have to be a philosophy that has no exceptions to it, does it?
No, but nonetheless, it's typical that where the West did intervene was precisely the wrong place, Libya. Why? Let me be clear. I have no sympathy whatsoever, even when we were witnessing these horrible scenes of Gaddafi being basically lynched by the mob. No sympathy whatsoever for him. But wasn't it clear that in contrast to Tunis, Egypt, Syria, where we had a clear democratic people's movement with program. Wasn't it blurred from the very beginning in Libya? It wasn't clear who these rebels are, what, and you see where you get. Now we learned 2-3 weeks ago that the main military commander of the Libyan resistance is kind of an ex-jihadist Al-Qaeda man. So where we ended is NATO arming Al-Qaeda. Thanks very much for that. No, they should have been a little bit more restrained, not in the sense of supporting Gaddafi.
But if they hadn't come in at the time, there would have been a huge massacre. That was their argument. That was going, the Gaddafi army was marching on to Benghazi, and if they had not, that was a humanitarian. But in fact, in fact, the humanitarian turned into something else.
Yeah. And this is the problem. What is so horrible for me is how precisely the case where the revolt was not a clearly democratic, secular revolt, precisely there the West intervened. It's sad.
What's going to happen to this movement that you see that's developing in terms of what happened at Wall Street, happening in cities? Does it have, as they say, legs? Does it have the capacity to grow into something that has power?
It's not yet decided.
It's not sure yet.
It's not sure, which is why I think now it's not yet the time to make it utopian in the bad sense. You know, the time to make plans for power or whatever. It's time for reflection. It's time to ask the basic questions. Do we even... This is, for me, the tragic thing. We all feel something is wrong with the system. But we have even a vague idea...
Because of income disparity, because of a whole range of things.
And we know it cannot just be solved by a little bit of social democratic legislation.
It has to be what?
A more radical, I claim.
And what would radical be?
It's very clear. Some deep transformation of the capitalist system itself in the long term. Here problems begin. I don't think there is a clear idea, but you know, we will have to think about it, because what I'm afraid that you can say, okay, we cannot even imagine it. Here I have two problems, they may amuse you. First one is, did you notice how, in what a strange way today, the terms possible, impossible function? Like, if you speak about science, everything is becoming possible. You know, like through biogenetic or cloning, we will be able to live forever, replacing our organs, blah, 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 whatever you want. Everything will be... Stem
cell and all that.
Yeah, everything will be accessible to us through iPhone, blah, 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 in clouds. So here, everything is possible. But when you say, let's raise the taxes and spend a little bit more money for healthcare, impossible. So it's like my friend Fred Jameson said, we can well imagine, we do it daily, all the catastrophe movies, we can well imagine the end of the Earth, asteroid hitting Earth, but we cannot imagine a small change in capitalism, no? And the important thing is not to engage in some crazy, destructive experiments, but to open up the space of thinking. It's difficult, this, because we know how the 20th century attempts failed. I don't have any big formula. I even, ironically, in a self-mocking way, often say that, because people accuse me, I'm kind of a demagogue, stand-up comedian, magician. I said, if I'm a magician which is showing you all the time the head, but the rabbit never comes out, you know, the formula. I'm modest here. I'm just saying, which is why I like intelligent conservatives. Not reactionaries, conservatives. Honest conservatives are the ones who openly confront the deadlock and don't play games with some easy solutions or whatever.
Thank you for coming. I hope we can do this again.
I'm really proud to be here, and I hope I at least helped in dispelling some of these ideas that me and my friends have some, I don't know, dark terrorist plans. We are much more modest than it may appear. We are just saying we are approaching a crisis. It's not no cause for panic, emergency or whatever, but to start thinking.
And
Thanks very much.
And asking the right questions.
Yes, thanks very much.